They say good fences make good neighbors, but what if the fence isn't enough to keep peace? What if the neighbor on the other side decides you're the problem no matter what you do? That's exactly what happened to me the day Karen knocked on my door. And trust me, that knock changed everything. It was a Saturday morning, the kind where the sun feels just right, and all I wanted was to sit on the porch with a cup of coffee. My dog, Milo, a golden retriever with more charm than sense, was stretched out by my feet, half dozing. Then came the sharp rap on the door. 3 bangs, no hello, no pause, just aggression disguised as urgency. I opened the door and there she was. Karen, 40-something, tight bun, lips pressed into a thin judgmental line. She didn't even say good morning. Your dog barks too much, she snapped, arms crossed. It's keeping me up at night. Something needs to be done. Now, here's the truth. Milo wasn't exactly the quietest dog in the world. If a squirrel so much as blinked in the yard, he'd let the entire block know. But he was no monster. I knew the rhythm of his barks, and they were nothing more than background noise in a neighborhood already filled with lawnmowers, kids, and traffic. I tried to be civil. I'll keep an eye on it, I said. But dogs bark. It's normal. Her eyes narrowed like I just told her the world revolved around me. If you don't do something about it, I'll call the city, she said. I'm not kidding. That was the first real warning. Not a polite suggestion, not even a request. A threat. And the worst part? She turned on her heel and stormed off before I could reply. I stood there, coffee cooling in my hand, anger rising in my chest. It wasn't just about Milo anymore. It was about the principle. Dogs bark, birds sing, people make noise. That's life. But Karen didn't want life. She wanted control. That night, I watched Milo sleep peacefully, snoring louder than he ever barked. I couldn't help but think, maybe it wasn't noise that bothered Karen. Maybe it was me. Maybe, just maybe, she needed a taste of her own medicine. And that's when the idea first sparked. An idea I knew she'd never forget. The thing about revenge is it doesn't arrive fully formed. It starts as a whisper, a flicker in the back of your mind. That night, after Karen's dramatic declaration of war, I sat on my porch, staring into the quiet street. Milo curled beside me, and I thought, if she wants silence, maybe I'll give her the opposite. Now, I'm not the type to go looking for trouble. I'm a live and let live kind of person. But Karen's complaint dug under my skin. It wasn't about noise. It was about control. About her marching over and trying to dictate my life. She didn't come over to talk. She came to command. And that's when the whisper in my mind grew louder. I started thinking about her dog, Luna. A large husky with a howl that could rattle windows when it wanted to. Funny thing is, Luna was usually quiet, docile even. But I knew huskies. They were natural talkers, and if you could get one started, good luck getting it to stop. That thought made me smile in a way I hadn't smiled all day. Karen wanted to accuse Milo of being too loud. Then maybe it was time she got to hear what too loud really sounded like. Over the next few days, I played it cool. I still waved politely when she pulled her car into the driveway. I still picked up after Milo and kept him on his leash. But behind the scenes, I was watching. I took note of Luna's habits. What excited her? What triggered her voice? I noticed something fascinating. Whenever the ice cream truck rolled down the street, Luna would perk up, ears twitching, then let out this long, haunting howl that carried across the entire block. Kids laughed. People smiled. It was oddly charming. Unless, of course, you were trying to sleep. That was when my plan started to take shape. It didn't need to be cruel. It didn't need to hurt Luna. In fact, Luna would probably enjoy it. All I had to do was encourage her natural voice at just the right time. But timing was everything. If I struck too early, Karen might dismiss it as coincidence. Too late, and she might lose interest in our little feud. No, I had to wait for the perfect moment. The one that would make her realize she had poked the wrong neighbor. And when that moment came, I promised myself she would never complain about Milo again. The opportunity came sooner than I expected. It was a Tuesday night, humid and heavy, the kind of night where every sound carried through the neighborhood like it was amplified. I was sitting in my living room, the windows cracked open, when I heard it. Karen's voice, loud and sharp, scolding someone over the phone. The words carried right through the thin walls. I can't sleep with that dog barking all the time. I swear, if he doesn't shut it up, I'll have the city fine him. Milo was snoring softly at my feet. Not barking, not even moving. Yet here she was, exaggerating, twisting the story, gearing up for another attack. And that's when I knew it was time. I slipped out into the yard, Milo padding after me, tail wagging. Across the fence, Luna was already awake, pacing restlessly in her backyard. Perfect. I crouched down and whispered through the slats, "Hey girl, you want to sing tonight?" I had a small speaker tucked under my arm. Over the past few days, I'd been testing different sounds, videos of wolves, other huskies howling, even sirens. Luna loved them all. Within seconds of hearing them, she'd tilt her head, then let loose a long, echoing howl that could rival a church bell. So, I pressed play. The sound of a distant wolf cry filled the night. Luna froze, ears pricking. Then, just like clockwork, she threw her head back and answered. One howl, then another, louder, longer, like she was calling out to the entire city. I grinned. But it didn't stop there. Once she got going, Luna found her rhythm. Her cries grew wilder, bouncing between playful and mournful, each note piercing the silence. Milo just sat beside me, head tilted, watching like he was witnessing a performance. Within minutes, lights flicked on in neighboring houses, curtains shifted. And then, right on cue, Karen's back door slammed open. She stepped onto her porch, hair a mess, eyes wide, shouting, "Luna, quiet. Quiet." But huskies don't just stop. Not when they're in full swing. The more Karen yelled, the louder Luna became, like her voice was fueled by the chaos. And me? I leaned back against the fence, sipping from a soda can, doing my best to look innocent as the midnight concert reached its crescendo. It was beautiful. Terrible for Karen, yes, but beautiful. And I knew this was only the beginning. The first night was glorious, but it wasn't enough. Karen had stormed back into her house after 15 minutes of yelling at Luna, slamming doors so hard the glass rattled. For most people, that might have been victory enough. But I knew Karen. She wasn't the type to give up after one round. She'd double down, call the city, spin her complaints louder. So the next night, I repeated the ritual. Same time, same sound. Milo at my side, speaker in hand. And Luna, sweet, unsuspecting Luna, picked up her song right where she'd left off. Her howls filled the night, climbing higher and stronger until it was impossible to ignore. The neighborhood grew restless. Lights flicked on. Windows opened. One neighbor even shouted, "Shut that dog up," from across the street. And through it all, I sat calmly in my yard, Milo's head resting on my knee, watching the chaos unfold on the other side of the fence. By the third night, Karen was unraveling. I saw her earlier in the day, dark circles under her eyes, muttering angrily while dragging her trash can to the curb. She didn't wave, didn't even look my way, just stomped up her driveway like every step was an insult. That evening, I waited. And sure enough, as the clock struck 11, I pressed play. Luna launched into her now famous chorus, louder and more determined than ever. This time, though, Karen didn't just yell. She broke. Her back door flew open, and she stumbled outside in her bathrobe, hair wild, face twisted with frustration. Stop it. Just stop, she screamed at Luna, her voice cracking. She clapped her hands, stomped her feet, even waved a broom in desperation. But the husky, of course, only grew louder, each howl echoing like a victory cry. Neighbors peered out from their porches. A few chuckled. One man actually clapped. And there I was, the supposed villain with the loud dog, watching the entire neighborhood witness Karen being undone by her own. Finally, after nearly half an hour, Karen gave up. She dropped the broom, threw her hands in the air, and shouted into the night, "I can't take this anymore," before slamming back inside. And that was it. The complaint calls stopped. The knocks on my door never came again. Milo still barked at squirrels, but suddenly no one seemed to mind. I learned something in those nights. Sometimes the best way to silence a complainer is to let them hear their own noise. And as for Karen, well, let's just say after that week, the only thing quieter than Milo was her. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to hit that like button, drop a comment telling me what you would have done in my place, and of course, subscribe so you don't miss the next crazy neighbor story. Your support really helps the channel grow. Thank you.